Hi, Daryl DeClerc from East Hill Community Church in beautiful Vernon, BC. I'm in one of the cozy corners of our home where I often have quiet time with the Lord and read the Bible, pray, and study. And this is a place where I treasure. It's a little corner that I can look out into the rest of our house and pray for our family members. And as some of you know, in February into March, we're looking into the spiritual disciplines, those habits and practices of the heart and life and mind in which we allow God to change us. We allow His Word to enter us. We allow the circumstances of our lives to be brought to the Lord and surrendered to Him. And in this first of the series, this past Sunday, January 31st, we looked at Christian meditation. Meditation isn't something that Christians use to escape the world. It's something that God uses to enter into the world in His Word through our hearts. If you're familiar with John 3:16, for God so loved the world, He gave His only Son, then try memorizing Colossians 3:16. Let the Word of Christ dwell in your hearts. And so that's the point of devotions. And so this week I simply want to remind us of some of the different ways that on Sunday we considered we can do devotions, and then introduce you to two more as well. Of course, there's devotional booklets that we can use. This one is familiar to me over the years that I use, called Seeking God's Face, or some of you might be more familiar with Our Daily Bread or the Christian Reformed Today booklets, often popular in our midst. And on Sunday, second option we also explored was the Examen of St. Ignatius of Loyola. And he encouraged what's called a daily examen, where we rest in God, we give thanks, we reflect on our attitudes and feelings, and then pick one to pray about and give that to God completely, surrendering to Him and finding rest in Him for your body and soul. And then there's the palms down, palms up posture with devotions. Maybe you're familiar with this one, a very hands-on one, no pun intended, that when your hands are down, then you're able to pray everything that you want to release to the Lord. Lord, I give you all my worries, my anxiety, my sin, my frustrations, my temptations. I give all of those things to you. Then you turn your hands up as a posture of receiving from the Lord. What are your hands now open to receive from God? Lord, I receive your grace, I receive your goodness, your forgiveness, your empowering, your majesty, your glory, and so on. Then there's heading out into creation, which many of us are familiar with. In Genesis 24:63, we find a verse that says that Isaac went out to meditate in the fields in the evening. What a wonderful application that we can do by heading out into God's glorious creation as well. There's two more that I want to introduce to you today. And the first is simply a proverb a day keeps the devil away. That's what we use in our family in the mornings. We just go through the book of Proverbs verse by verse, year after year, and it takes years to get through when you go verse by verse. And we simply allow that nugget of wisdom each morning to percolate in our hearts and minds through the day. And finally, maybe you've heard of Lectio Divina. Lectio Divina is an opportunity to dwell not on a whole chapter, but often just one verse. And even that, only a word or two in a verse. And it's a way of slowly reading. I want to introduce it to you this way with a helpful description from that book, Seeking God's Face. It's a way to read the Bible slowly, contemplatively, and leisurely, not seeking information, but to hear the personal address of God. It assumes that prayer is a two-way conversation and enables us to dialogue with Jesus by hearing and responding to the Word of God. The goal is to grow in companionship with God, to be a personal participant in the story of God, lovingly listening for His Word and allowing the text to read our lives. And so let's close with that opportunity to practice Lectio Divina from Psalm 119, 105. I'll read the verse once, and then slowly, word for word. And if you're still with us, then by God's grace, this will be a verse for you. Wonder and ask the Lord, which word of this verse is standing out to you? Which word His Spirit is stirring in your heart means the most to you today? Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light for my path. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. See you next week.